So in this course, oh, maybe I should stay Uocd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm in this course called User-Oriented Collaborative Design, in short, Uocd. And in this course, we studied a certain group of people. We call them user groups. And we studied them extensively and came up with a lot of ideas to solve certain problems that they have. And these problems were also identified by us using a lot of design processes. The final goal of the entire course was to come up with one good solution to a couple of the problems that they're facing. And this solution had to go back to something we call user values, something that's really core and essential to the users. So the whole course was divided into 4 phases. Phase 1 is called observation. Now, in observation, what we did was we went along with these users, and our user group is machinists. And at first, we just started with machinists, and we went out and met at least 10 to 15 machinists. What we found out was it'd be better for us to gain access to more machinists if we narrow it down to just machinists in academia. So we limited our user group to machinists who work in student-run machine shops. So what we did was we created this general framework after a month of meeting with these machinists, and we went to the machine shops, took a bunch of pictures, talked to them, had interviews with them. For a month, we just studied them extensively, knowing how they eat, how they sleep, what do they do for fun, what do they do on weekends, do they have families. Everything you could possibly know about machinists, we understood, and we evaluated them and put them on this web sort of framework where we have some basic criteria of machinists, and we started playing with these. And this framework has evolved a lot over time. You'll see a lot more frameworks that we've created in other phases. So after having done all this basic understanding, we went on to create something known as user values. User values were really essential for most of the course, in the sense that user values are what is core to the machinist, what they value the most, what qualities do they have that is unique to this group. And our user values that we came up with, we listed them down. At first listed down in terms of 2 axes. So significance or importance on the vertical, and we had time on the horizontal, but time didn't seem so useful, so we had to change that. The point that I'm coming at here is that a lot of the whole design process was not written in stone. It changes every day. So if we even plan out something for the entire week, it's probably going to change not only the logistics of it, but also our products keep changing over time. So once we're done with the first phase, observation, we can go on to the next phases. We always keep jumping around because it's all interrelated to each other. So we came up with user values. Our user values have changed. This framework has changed many times. We also came up with designer values, what values we want our final design solution to have. And we put them down in top requirements and not so important requirements. Some other frameworks that I like to talk about, we have this people cycle that we have. We created this people cycle to understand the role of people in the machine shop. So we have Manny, which we named as one of the machinists as a persona, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we have our student or professor who goes in with the machine, with the idea. And we have Ted, who's more of a technology machinist. And this is a general process in a machine shop that we observed. So it starts with student having an idea, takes it to the machine shop. Then there's a middle machinist. We call this middle machinist Ted. These are personas. You create personas to give a physical nature to these people. You study 15 of them. You give them a name. You give them actions. You give them figures. You give them sketches. You make them almost real. So our Ted is our middle machinist. He uses technology. He works with CAD programs. He helps the student comes in. He's the first guy the student meets. So Ted helps them make a CAD drawing, a CAD file, moves on. When the design is actually good, it moves on to Manny. Now Manny's a real guy in the students' shops who actually does some work. He actually makes the product for the students. So he goes along the elaborate process, which we observed, and he makes this product. Now another framework but I'll talk. You have to cut that out. All right, so we'll talk about some of the processes that we adopted in the entire phase. So this is phase 1 process. So first we started off with the unveiling. We found out, we voted, and the conclusion was Machinist was our user group. From there, what the process we adopted was, we first thought, okay, let's go online, let's call some people, let's get some interviews fixed, some times fixed. That didn't work out so well. People don't want to waste time talking to students unless they're on the campus. So we just walked into their shops and said, okay, give us some of your time. And the response wasn't that good. What we ended up doing was refining ourselves to academia, and we still walked into their shops. And that worked out fairly well. So then, after walking in, we gathered a lot of data. Data was in terms of photos, unstructured interviews, direct observation. We had some surveys after that, structured interviews, more questions, and then we had a project follow-up. All of this data that you gather, you absorb it like a sponge. It's an analogy we've been using a lot. But then you gotta squeeze the sponge and get all the data out in a reasonable fashion. So all the stuff that you saw before we had a couple of debriefs. We had the paper debrief, and we had a whiteboard debrief, and we got a photo debrief. So all these debriefs help you get all this data out, and once you get it out, you organize in terms of frameworks. So we have persona that I talked about, we have interaction narratives, which is the process explained earlier about machinists in the machine shop. They basically help you to understand any people interaction that happens, any human interaction that happens between a couple sets of people. We also have word mood cards, which are these simple cards that you see here. You write anything on it that express any emotion that you relate to anything. They're all over the place, as we saw earlier. You synthesize these, and you get areas of opportunities. Now, areas of opportunities are just broad areas that you see in your user group field, in the context, where you see some potential for any design to happen. A lot of the times, machinists or any other user group, they've already done their work, they've already figured out problems and solved it themselves, but a lot of areas where it's very hard for them to implement something, and that's the area where designers need to attack. Simple problems, but really hard to implement solutions. That's what we were targeting initially. We went on to phase 2. Now, phase 2 was ideation. This is where you come up with ideas to solve the design problems. So after all this knowledge that we gained, we put them into user and designer values, which I showed earlier. And from this, we generated raw ideas. Our raw ideas were we just looked at the values, looked at areas of opportunities, and said, okay, what's the problem? What's the solution? And we just kept listing out. In total, we ended about 155 ideas. We framed them in the sense that to come up with more ideas, you reframe a need. So you list out a need, let's say, to have a clean workstation, and you reframe it to have a workable environment and such other reframings, and you get more ideas off of it by just looking at a different perspective. Now, what we did after this, we went back and said, okay, our user values aren't unfinished yet. We went back and refined our user values because we thought that would be essential, as this is what we're actually targeting with our design solution. So went on to having more complete ideas. We had about 9 final, solid, worked out complete ideas. But then we have to play with these ideas. We have to imagine what the users would actually do with these ideas. So we had something called user scenarios. User scenarios are basically you draw out what do you think the user would be doing with your ideas. And then we had gallery sketches, which is just a basic sketch of how you visualize your product to be. Let me move on to phase 3. Now, phase 3 is code design. In code design, well, we had to go back to our users. Now we had these 9 more complete ideas. We had to take these ideas to the users, and we were not supposed to present these ideas, but code design with them. What I mean by that is you're not going there with the PowerPoint just presenting idea after idea. You give them a direction. All right, this is one of our ideas, and help us design it with you. This is where a lot of interaction happened with the machinists. They got really excited because they started seeing some real work come out of it. So at first we had 9 ideas. We cannot present online. We had to choose which ones. We made our props, as we call them. So props are basically any physical form that we can use, any blue foam cutouts that we can use to co-design our ideas with the users. We made those, then we went to the users, we played with them, they played with the props, we understood a lot more about them, we had our debriefs like I said before, and then you come back and then you refine personas, refine your previous frameworks like I said, you go back, we refined our user values again, because you know more, the more you meet with them, the more you know. And towards the end, we had a fair understanding of what our ideas were and how they would interact with them and what they meant to them. Now as we stand in phase 4 is development, and where we're actually going to choose one idea. We're going to go ahead with that one idea and develop it further. Some frameworks they want us to use is, one of them is broad interaction map, which lists out complete interaction from the start of the use of the product to the end of it. They want us to make a physical mock-up using blue foam of it, so that the machinists can actually use it. They want us to have a clear understanding of what it does, how it relates to the user values. So that was the basic overview of the course. Now, what comes after this? What do you finally learn? You learn how to understand people and target their core values in any setting that you're given in. And for me, it relates to entrepreneurship. You're trying to come up with products for certain people, and if you don't understand everything about the user that you're targeting, the customers that you're targeting, you're not going to be able to get out with a good product. You can do all the marketing you want, you can do all the raising capital, all the entrepreneurial talks around it. But if you don't have a solid base for a product, if you don't have the foundations of a good product that target real core needs, it's not going to do well. And this is what the course has taught me. The user values, design values, all these frameworks with all their revisions has taught me to target basic values, and that's about it. I'm Aman Kapoor. I'm an international student here studying general engineering. I'm a freshman, and I'm in iFoundry in the Entrepreneurship and Innovation I team, and I'm the World of Work chair for the team. That's good.
How did you feel when you first started at Uocd?
Coming to a foreign university, I was pretty ignorant about a lot of issues, not only just educational but cultural as well. It was kind of scary, going away from home for such a long time in a new atmosphere. So the first couple of months were very, very scary, I'd say. With iFoundry, we didn't really know what it really was. It wasn't as planned out as you thought it would be. Even U of I, for me, American education experience, I really had no idea. Just reading online doesn't give you a gist of what it was. But as we went along, it became fairly comprehensible, and it became easier.
Okay. How do you think about the missing basics now that you're in your second semester, and how do you still make use of them?
The missing basics, when I first learned about them, I thought I had all the missing basics in me. But as we went along, the Engineering 100++ course, even the course that I'm in right now, Engineering 298, which is Uocd course, most of these courses have first they told me I didn't know the missing basics, and now they've strengthened the missing basics in the sense that when you do hands-on experience with a lot of these projects that they teach you, and a lot of when you actually go out and physically interact with people and you actually do real work, you understand that these basics are really essential, and it's very hard for people to develop them. So I'd say my sense of understanding of these basics has really improved in this past year.
How did iFoundry help improve your experience at Illinois?
iFoundry made the transition really easy for me. When we came in, I met about 80 kids at our launch who had the same passion like I did, who wanted to do stuff in college besides classes, who wanted to really, have an impact. And, knowing this group of people really helped the transition into college life. It made it really easy. We had a lot of fun together, and even academic wise, with the courses, introducing new courses, with Olin, I found it's really made what I wanted to do easier. It's given me the opportunity to, do something I've always wanted to do.
Did your goals change this past year? Have you made any major 180 changes to your inspiration?
I wouldn't say they've changed, but I've realized my goals. When you come as a freshman, you sort of have this idea of what major you'll do. You sort of have an idea what education you'll get. You really don't know. But once you get into it, you slowly understand what it's all about. So I've realized my goals. So I personally want to be an entrepreneur, a student entrepreneur, and so maybe get into the consulting aspects of it a little bit as well, which was fairly unexpressed when I was back home, or even the first term. This just came up about. So as you go along, I think you just keep realizing goals and you try and fulfill them.
Was there anything that wasn't required but was initiated through your experience at iFoundry?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. Primarily, as part of Entrepreneurship Innovation, we organized this creative entrepreneurship workshop in Chicago. We had about 80 attendees, and the most exciting part of it was that we did it because we all wanted to do something relating to entrepreneurship. We wanted to spread the word, wanted to meet amazing people, we wanted to meet these entrepreneurs. It wasn't required. iFoundry didn't say, all right, do this conference, it wasn't for credits. It's just because if you have a group of 10 passionate people and they want to do something, it eventually will happen. So that's one of the things. Another thing was, Engineering 100 was required, but courses in the next term, Uocd and FB, and other courses that I found interesting, they're not required, but you still want to take them because they teach you so much more that standard engineering classes don't. They teach you missing basics in a very hands-on, practical way.
How did iFoundry help you achieve your goals?
Mm-hmm.
Overall, what was your favorite aspect of the iFoundry program?
Overall, I'd say meeting the people, like I said before. Yeah, Tracy. So, you meet not only students, all the professors involved at iFoundry, the administrations, the students, not only of Entrepreneurship Innovation team, but other teams as well. They all share this one common passion, and being a part of such a unique group is, I think, the best part of it.
What do you plan to do with the knowledge you've gained from the program?
What do I plan? I plan to use it in a way to benefit my goals. Like I said, to become an entrepreneur.
What 3 words sum up your iFoundry experience?
Awesome, educational, and inspirational.
And what advice do you have for incoming IFX students?
For incoming IFX student, I'll say it's okay to be confused right now. I was too, and a lot of the people I know in iFoundry were too. It's okay to not know what you're really going to do with your life. It'll all get easier as you go along. The more you stress about it, the more you get into the web of it, it's not gonna be productive. Also, do stuff apart from academics. Classes will always be there. iFoundry gives you a platform to get away from classes. Do something that you really want to do. So take opportunities that iFoundry provide. You can pretty much do anything you want here at U of I. So don't be scared to go out of just having that academic track. Just don't worry so much about your GPA. There's other stuff you got to do too.
All right, I think that's about it. Don't forget anything yet? All right, cool. Thank you.
Is your reputation